Hello everyone, this is the promised commentary on our submission for the Apollo speed killing event, a 6:10 on P12S P1. It is, as it stands, the fastest time ever recorded on P12S, and abuses some never before seen tricks to make it work, which I will be explaining as we go. I will also be touching on optimization details that you might have missed watching this fast-paced run, so strap in. Disclaimer. This video assumes that you have watched both of my guides on limit break, so I will not be going into the inner workings of explained strategies. I can't explain everything, or this video will become too long. I just explained the more interesting details. But if you want more, feel free to comment on the video or message me on Discord. Let's go! And swap.
Oh my god, it's 610. Let's go!
The first set of tricks takes us to the pre-pool. Our formation here at the start is very important. Just like heals, buffs propagate throughout the party, and standing like this lets divination travel through the party optimally, catching the most potency. Our scholar is positioned to the back of the arena. This is because she needs to do the Fey Blessing trick that I performed in my pre-pool LB guide, while also putting Eos into a favorable position for a later strategy. During limit break planning, we found that our tank was missing a small amount of HP to live the first raid wide, so to compensate, I built a much weaker gear set that creates the perfect sized, neutral aspected benefic shield on our tank. If the shield crits, the tank can click off expedient for the first raid wide, and the result is the same. Thus, I have 3 gear sets planned for this fight. My first card is performed pre-pull, which actually doesn't lose me anything over the course of the fight, other than not being able to Astrodyne in the opener, but it's a gain to do this anyway due to my extremely limited weaving space. This limitation stems from our pre-pull LB gen ritual, where I have to use opposition and horoscope at the start of the fight. Along with perfectly synced actor ticks and the Fey Blessing trick, we managed to generate almost 1.5 LB bars before the fight is even started. But please, I do not recommend imitating this opener in your P12S log runs. Seriously. And now we get to the pull. Our Gunbreaker pulls the boss to the corner. Why is that? When Athena wants to start a mechanic, she first has to jump back to the middle, which actually costs her valuable time. In fact, each time we perform this trick, the fight timeline shifts ever so slightly back, which in this case lets us get some valuable GCDs in right before limit cut that we actually normally wouldn't get. Funnily enough though, after the event ended, we saw other teams like Hyping Heroes use a trick where they just turn the boss around during tank busters, which actually accomplishes the exact same thing, but it's way easier to perform. After the first auto attack, our Gunbreaker casts Super Blide and then instantly removes the invulnerability. While in normal content this is considered a war crime, for us it sets us up perfectly for the first iteration of what I call Eos generation. As you may know, Eos's embraces can generate limit break. If we put Eos on top of someone and then put it on guard mode, Eos consistently targets them with an embrace. The first time I saw this in play was when Acedia from RNG Factory showed me this clip, where Jacqueline commanded Eos on top of them in an isolated position to bait an embrace. Our Scholar pre-positioned a Eos pre-pull and then puts it on guard right as our Gunbreaker super belides, which causes Eos to cast 2 embraces back to back, generating not once, but twice, as the second embrace also generates LB, since the first one is not actually strong enough to get a tank out of critical range. Well, this all should have happened, but in the real run I propagated my heals incorrectly, failing the strat. Whoops. All while this is happening, during this entire opening sequence, we make sure that we keep our tanks at an extremely low HP. This means that we can mitigate every single auto attack with cooldowns and shields, generating LB on every single auto attack we survive. On the first raid wide, I need to have about 28,000 HP. We can reach this value by using Celestial Opposition and Improvisation, and clicking it off just when we reach it. However, if you look at this frame, I'm only 2,000 HP down from my required threshold, but taking a regen tick from both Opposition and Improvisation will send me way too high. If I go too high, we can't critically heal on me, so I specifically click off Opposition, the bigger regen, and let Improvisation take me to my threshold. We have numerous backup plans and click-off setups in place on each click-off period to make it as consistent as possible. For instance, I can also go to 34,000 and click off Expedient, as beautifully demonstrated by Nicole on Scala.
I can't believe I just took 5 minutes to explain 10 seconds of the pull.
After 5 minutes of total jank, the raid wide hits, and we start what we call our DSR Eos rotation. Similarly to baiting auto attacks in DSR Phase 7, our DPS, except for the Black Mage, run towards Eos one by one. Eos AI is a bit janky, but he generally prefers people that are close to them. Thus, one by one, the DPS will bait embraces, running away as soon as they get healed. This generates single target LB on each player, which, if you remember, means double the generation. Also part of the DSR Eos rotation is the healers and caster. I cast Essential Dignity on both healers, once again generating critical healing on both, doubled. Our Scholar casts Protection on the Black Mage, and that concludes a full rotation of doubled single target critical healing. Meanwhile, our Dark Knight is tanking auto attacks, and due to our mitigation planning and his HP management, he always drops into critical HP zones, where I can cast Celestial Intersection on him, once again generating with single target heals. We do this one more time in the final auto attack, and now you can truly see the power of this DSR Eos rotation. Following a pre-pull and a single raid wide, with only 30 seconds on the clock, we managed to generate 2 full LB bars, and we're only getting started. Paradema 1. We use the Whispering Dawn to manage our HPs to a good level, and then we have the entire party get hit by lasers to generate as much as possible. Then we start another DSR Eos rotation to complete our LB3. Our ninja Shikuchis to the fairy to get the tick first. This is important because since they got hit by the lasers first, their natural HP generation has a higher chance of bringing them outside of the critical HP zone sooner, which would lose an Embrace tick. Because we have no free heals left for the casters, our Scholar holds 3 energy drains from the opener to cast 3 Lust Traits on each of us, each generating double Limit Break. While losing energy drains is an obvious DPS loss, it's much more potent to trade energy drains for LB usages. After Paradema 1 comes a 1 minute window, and since Paradema 2 comes right after, it's imperative that we get this LB off before the 1 minute window starts, otherwise we're going to be overcapping a lot of LB until after Paradema 2. Our Gunbreaker perfectly manages their HP using their Aurora to take 1 more auto attack with mitigation, after which I cast a final Celestial Intersection on him in critical HP zone, once again generating double LB out of thin air, which in this pool completes our LB3. For those who are curious, our fastest LB3 clocked in at 44 seconds, and our consistency rate on getting this LB3 was around 80 to 90%. A quick intermission for the 1 minute card. My most potent card on this 1 minute window is on the Black Mage. However, to get all the GCDs in, I must card him on this Fire Forecast. However, my GCD does not line up, and that's why I swift cast my Malefic, so I can place the card on them perfectly on time. Similarly, if my card was melee, I would have to do the exact same thing to give the perfect card to my Samurai. Swift casting for cards is very valuable if you don't need it for something else, but it adds a lot of difficulty to the rest of the fight. Paradema 2. We use Fey Blessing to heal up and Collective Unconscious to start managing for Paradema 2. However, disaster strikes as my Lust Trait crits very hard and I failed to dodge the Fey Blessing. My threshold is 54k and I'm already 6,000 over. The lasers at this point are already not strong enough to kill me, so generating from critical mitigation is impossible. However, I improvise and remove Dark Missionary, causing me to drop perfectly into the critical HP zone, letting me generate critical healing. Had I not done this, we would have lost this LB tick. While generating critical healing after this Undersoul is possible, we decided against it, as time constraints did not allow us to practice this difficult piece of HP management. The Tank Buster. Here we make use of our Dark Knight invulnerability. By using Essential Dignity after each hit, we generate single target critical healing on the 1 HP Dark Knight. Furthermore, because I use 2 Essential Dignities, Living Dead is guaranteed to turn into Walking Dead right before the auto after the Tank Buster hits. This lets us use an Embrace and a Celestial Intersection in sequence to generate 2 ticks of critical healing. This in total lets us generate over a quarter of an LB bar from a single Tank Buster. Super Chain Theory 1. Following the cast of Super Chain Theory 1 follows the most difficult Astrologian sequence I've ever had to do, so those familiar with Astrologian can watch in pain as I try to navigate the Yu-Gi-Oh gods and maneuver a straight 25 seconds of restless weaving during Super Chain. We manage to our thresholds, then heal with Horoscope to proc critical healing. From here, if Horoscope didn't crit on someone, we can use Fey Blessing on them after the stack, once again generating. This exaltation on the Dancer is important, as not using it here could spell their deaths if both Fey Blessing, Horoscope, and Star don't critically heal. Each party member has a cover in place in case this scenario happens. For instance, our Scholar takes 1 tick of their own Fairy Tether to guarantee survival. Dialogos. We manage our HP thresholds towards Dialogos and generate LB. This expected Helios cast was an artifact of a more potent plan that allowed us to generate much more LB. But once again, we scrapped this plan due to time constraints, but left it in as not to force us to reprog healing and mitigation. Keen eyes may have noticed that I actually shielded myself before the hit. This is because I screwed up and clicked off the wrong regeneration effect, but I compensated with a Celestial Intersection, clicking off the shield in hopes to still drop low. Once again, we pulled the boss into the corner, delaying the fight timeline. Paradigma 3! We once again manage our HPs using Expected Helios for a big regen and Improvisation for a small regen. This time it's only the DPS generating, as Paradigma 3 is incredibly tricky to generate on due to all the different times that abilities can hit. We call out the 2 DPS that are baiting lasers, as they are taking the biggest chunk of damage, which we compensate with Essential Dignities and Auroras. We don't generate on this on the soul, as by this point we have already planned so much generation that any further would be overkilling it. We clock in our second LB3 not even 4 minutes into the fight, and set up for the final stretch. For this quick card intermission, here's another fun card fact. To make sure that my final Malefic is boosted by Astrodyne, I need to make sure to cast the Astrodyne somewhere halfway through my GCD. However, my Black Mage wants a late woven card during this exact fire forecast. That's why you see me heavily delay this double weave, which can honestly be quite scary to perform this late into the fight, as clipping it would surely mean losing my GCD and star before limit cut. Limit cut! We managed 2 general HP values using Collective Unconscious. If we were behind on limit break here, I would be able to cast single target heals to generate extra. And here, we finally reap the seeds that our tanks sowed. By pulling the boss to the corner 3 times, the timeline is delayed in such a way that I can perfectly get my final Malefic and Star onto the boss before she disappears. We see a staggeringly low 16% pre-limit cut, and you could tell by the comms that people's hearts are absolutely pounding. We enter limit cut with an incredible lead, marking our personal best pre-limit cut HP percentage. During the end of limit cut, we have our Scholar cast Illumination and then a Recitation Sucker. However, we have our physical players click off the Illumination to weaken the shield. In the event that we are behind on LB, this would cause our entire party to drop into critical HP range following Ultima, letting us generate just a little bit more. However, identifying that we would get the LB regardless, I mitigate the rate wide safely. Post-limit cut. I choke here and pot 1 GCD too late. Since we would have killed at around 610, I should have potted at 540, which is the earliest you can do it at. I also start carding too late coming into the super chain, losing marginal potency. However, the deed is done, and right after super chain 2A starts, we bring the boss to 0.1% HP, marking the end of this encounter and the end of this speed kill. And swap.
Oh my god, it's 610. Let's go!
Whoa!
Come on!
Holy, what the fuck?
That must be 609,
Oh.
bro. Give me the 609.
That was 6.
That was a long video, so if you made it through, congrats! Thanks so much for watching. I hope to bring you all more educational speed kill content in the future. So, if you enjoyed, please consider liking the video and subscribing for more cool stuff like this. Feel free to check out my other content, and otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Bye bye!